Hi there guys, in this one what we're going to be doing is testing the barrel band of the Anschutz 9015. We got 3 tests for the rifle. We're going to be removing the barrel band entirely so that the cylinder and the barrel are free floating. Next we're going to be testing it with the barrel band fitted, and finally we're going to be testing it with the barrel band cut off. Now you're seeing me cut off the barrel band here, although this is another one I bought. So we are going to be testing the original against this one, which is going to be cut down. So the actual job itself is pretty simple and straightforward. We're just milling off the top, finishing off with a shell mill, and then coming back and 45 in the corners. So instead of talking through the machining, what I thought we'd do is talk about the setup of the rifle and how we conducted the tests. As this is my 25 metre bench rest gun, we are going to be doing all the results at 25 metres, and we are going to be using proper scorecards to quantify the results. As per 25 metre bench rest rules, the rifle is supported at a stand at the front and a bag at the rear. Now my front rest is nothing special at all, it's not a Seb rest or anything like that. It's quite simply a nice cheap height adjustable stand that I've got my rifle based on, and then the back is supported with just a regular sandbag. And to make sure the tests are nice and fair, we're going to be eliminating as many variables as we possibly can. We're doing all testing inside, and we are going to be running each and every test multiple times to get conclusive results. And we're obviously going to be using the same pellets and keeping the testing nice and consistent. So we're going to start off with no barrel band fitted, then we're going to fit the barrel band that's standard, and then finally we'll test the cut down barrel band, and that'll be one round of testing. Then we'll do exactly the same thing 3 more times. So in all we should have 4 rounds of results, all back to back tested, just to make sure that there's no bias or that the barrel isn't getting dirty as we go further in the tests or anything like that. But that's all the machining done, so I'll bring you back over to the bench and we'll show you the cut down barrel band fitted to the rifle. Right then, that's the barrel band all cut off, so if we'll give you a good look at that there. We see that the barrel band's now cut nice and flush with the cylinder, or almost. It's about 2mm proud, as the ring inside the barrel band is 1mm deep. So we've got that little bit of clearance there, and it doesn't interfere with the barrel at all now. The barrel band itself does still have the felt insulating pad that the standard one comes with, but that's something I will be changing in the near future. What I'm going to be doing is making either a Delrin or a PTFE one of these that's a nice tight fit around the cylinder, and hopefully what that will do is grip the cylinder a little more tightly and make it a bit more stable in the stock. We did also try the rifle with no barrel band fitted at all, and the results from that were quite interesting. What we found was that the zero wasn't that stable, and that the pellets would sort of work their way around the page rather than staying in one position. So without the barrel band fitted, the action must have been able to sort of wiggle around in the stock, and that was causing some point of impact shifts. Right then, I'll get the rifle put away and I'll bring out the cards and show you some results. Right then, so this is the first card I want to show you. This particular card was done with no barrel band whatsoever, so both the barrel and the cylinder were free floating. And this is obviously a 25 metre bench rest card, and it was shot at 25 metres indoors. As this is the first card, I do just want to go over the scoring procedure very quickly. So the cards were obviously shot, then they were scored using a 177 plug gauge. Now this is a magnified plug gauge, so if we put it into a hole, so this one here, you get a nice magnified view of the score. So that one is a 10 because we still see some of the X-ring, but it has touched it. So that one's a 10 as it's touched the X-ring. And then if we look at the one next to it, this one's an X because it's destroyed the X-ring entirely. You can see nothing left of it there. So we used a scoring gauge in these cards just to make it nice and consistent. This is the best of the 3 cards that I did with the rifle with no barrel band fitted at all. As we can see, the pellets do move around a little on the scorecard. That was something I did notice with no barrel band fitted to the rifle at all. It's almost like the action was allowed to move around in the stock, and that was causing a little bit of a point of impact shift as we were shooting. So the average of the 3 cards that we did with no barrel band fitted whatsoever was 244 with 10 X's. So that was the average split over 3 cards. Right then, I'll swap out for the cards that we did with the barrel band fitted. The next cards that I'm going to show you are the ones we done with the barrel band fitted. So this is the highest scoring card that I managed to do with the barrel band fitted out of 4 targets. So it was 249 with 12 X's. Again, using the 177 plug gauge as the sort of deciding factor. And as you can see, quite a nice card indeed. I'm not a professional 25 metre bench rest shooter or anything like that, so the cards aren't the best. But with a new rifle, and we're just sort of getting into it as we sort of work our way through all the little mods we're doing to it. So I'm quite happy that we're sort of improving slowly as we go along. So there you go there, I'll get you a good close-up of all the scores. See that one there? Doesn't look like a 10, it looks like a 9. But then when we put the scoring gauge in it, you can see quite clearly that it's clipped it. So I call it a 10, although if you want to you can call it a 9. I'm not really that bothered. This isn't competitive or anything like that, or I'm not taking it competitively. We're just sort of looking at the different modifications we can do to the rifle and what influence they have on the scores themselves. So as long as everything's done nice and consistently, we should get a nice idea of what's happening with the rifle itself. The other card I want to show you was again using the barrel band, although this time the score was 248 and 18x. So a little less score, but a couple more X's. So I'll just give you a quick close-up of that. Don't know how interested you all are in little scoring cards, but it's quite interesting to see how the sort of scores change as we change things within the rifle. I'll get you a good look there. So again, that one looks like a 9, but then when you put the scoring gauge in there, you can see it's clipped it. So I don't know whether to call that a, I call it a 10, but it might be a 9 according to the sort of official playbooks. But again, I'm not that bothered. That's really what you want there. You can see the pellet is absolutely bang on centre. Put a gauge pin in there and there's nothing left of that X whatsoever. So unless every single target looks like that, we're not really sort of competing anyway, especially indoors. But there we have it. So the things we noticed with the barrel band was that the average shot was very, very good. It was right near centre, exactly where we were aiming. However, every now and again you would get sort of one that went a bit AWOL. So these two here are a good example of that. I was quite happy with how we were shooting, so I would have been going along this row like so, and then working my way back this way. So this one, really good, and then all of a sudden it threw a pellet a couple mil downwards. You could argue that's head position, but then it did exactly the same thing on the next one. Then the point of impact rose slowly, and then was back on to where we needed to be. So that was something that we did notice quite often within the cards that we did with the barrel band. I think what was probably happening is that the barrel band wasn't actually allowing the barrel to recenter itself after each shot, and was perhaps holding the barrel or tensioning the barrel at a point where it didn't want to be. When we took the barrel band off, the point of impact dropped about 50 mil. If I was aiming for this target here, we would have been impacting right down here when we took the barrel band off. So obviously with the barrel band on, the barrel was being lifted up and quite heavily influenced. Right then, so very quickly I'll just read out the scores and the averages. So first card we did was a 245 with 12x, next one was a 247 with 10x, next one was a 248 with 18x, and then the last one was 249 with 12x. The average over that is a 247.25 and with 13 X's. So just between the barrel band and no barrel band, the barrel band did perform a little better than no barrel band whatsoever. Right then, finally I'll bring the cards out with the barrel band that's been cut off. And here we have the cards that were done with the cut barrel band. So I'll just give you a quick close-up. This particular one was the best card we did of the day, with scoring 249 and 16x. We'll just quickly go through them there. Again, I'll point out any ones that look a bit suspicious, but as you can see there, we've clipped the line and broken it, so that will be a 10. And we'll go through. A few more X's there. Quite a few X's on this card. That's the only 9 we got. We put the gauge pin in there. See, it has touched the blue but hasn't broken it, so I'm calling that a 9. Bit of a shame really, I'd like to be a 10, but there you have it. There's some on other cards that I haven't called 10s when they've just touched the blue line. So we like to do things nice and consistently. There's no point in cheating. Right then, so overall the barrel band did very well. We didn't notice any major random flaws. The ones that we missed, so this one, could possibly be head position or maybe a little bit of a dodgy pellet. But if you look at the cards overall, you can see the pellets are much closer to centre than they were on the other cards. I know just looking at scorecards can be a bit boring, so I probably will invest in a scope cam at some point, and that way you can watch me actually do the cards, and it'll probably be a little more interesting. But overall, with the barrel band cut, the first one we did was a 249 with 12x, the next one was a 249 with 16x, which is this card here, the next one was a 248 with 10x, and the last one was a 249 with 12x. So that brings the average score up to 248.75, and the average number of X's per card was 12.5. So quite interesting there. We managed to pick up a whole 1.5 with the barrel band cut off, but we lost 0.5 X's per card. Now that could just be shooter. Obviously I'm fairly new to bench rest. 25 metres is a bit of a change from the normal stuff I do. But having the barrel band cut off was definitely an improvement to the average score. The other thing I did was test the standard barrel band with this little dowel rim piece removed entirely and the screws taken out. So there's 2 screws, one in either side, and that produced similar results. It was really hard to tell if the barrel was actually touching the aluminium in here. It was awful close, but I did get similar results to having the barrel band cut off entirely. Right then guys, that's going to about do it for this one. So as you saw in there, from my personal testing, cutting off the barrel band was a net improvement to the way the Anschutz shot. So hopefully that was a little interesting. The next video on the Anschutz will probably be a strip down and a rebuild. I think that's the next thing I want to do to the rifle. So I'll be showing you that in the next video on the Anschutz. But for now guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.